do right now is we go straight into the second draft, because it is here right now, and I don't really want to faff around with going towards that first game again. So apologies for those that missed that first game. It was so quick, a 24-minute victory for BLG. I guess we just jump straight into this one and see whether BLG can make it as quick. I mean, we've got no Ash Braum, the Sejuani. It is something which can allow you to accelerate the game.
Are we fast forwarded on the clean feed right there?
I don't
feel like
think
this music
so.
is faster than usual. I don't think you have power over that. I just mean like...
Oh, in terms of the game music? I'm actually not sure.
Do you know what I mean?
That.
Yeah. Anyway, BLG first pick the Sejuani. Ala blind picks the Tristana. The Kenna for the top side, and the Tristana comes through for Shanks. Some power picks definitely for AL there.
Yeah, and, you know, this is definitely something where Shanks had a load of value in before. I will say Shanks has suffered more and more in the Rumble stage as it's gone on. He has come out of group stage feeling like the best mid laner in the LPL. I think he's been humbled a little bit as he goes into the Rumble stage. BLG needs some magic damage from somewhere. They don't have that magic damage jungler, so they go towards that Ziggs instead, towards that bot lane. And I go towards that Yone, so fine matchup into the Tristana, and Elk can very much combo into the Sejuani or the Yone, depending on who finds that first pick.
See who can get it. The feed, I think, has slowed down again. I wonder if it was in, like, catch-up mode or something. That was so weird. The music was definitely faster. Like, I've heard that song so many times that, like, it's ingrained, you know. We do get the Ivan for Kuroko. Ivan has been sneaking its way into the LPL since Stop Esports brought it out internationally. I don't know about you, but my feed has, in fact, frozen.
Huh,
I don't know
no,
if that's
it hasn't. So that's not on your end. I will try my best.
I'm just going to open... I'll close the stream and reopen.
Is it working now? I've tapped in and tapped out. So look, folks, we have been doing this, of course, as basically a non-official broadcast. So occasionally we have some of those tech issues like that. You just let me know if that's working.
Yeah, no, it's good again.
If it's good again, hopefully we'll stay with this. Let me know exactly when that problem happens.
Yeah, so the Ivan is like... For anyone that doesn't know, historically, Ivan has been a disastrous pick for the LPL. Like, it's just not... It's not something that we've vibed with. Whenever it's been meta, it's been a bit of a disaster for us as a region. Top Esports, though, showed that it is possible to play Ivan in the LPL. And I wonder how fast this will spread across our top teams and whether other teams can replicate that level of success. Because, I don't know, it just has not been... It's kind of like Corki mid for us. Back when it was AP Corki mid, you know, it just didn't look good for us for as a region. Maybe Top Esports have bridged the way over to Ivan now.
Yeah, and it has been this pick, which, you know, the LPL refused to play this pick for years. It was kind of, I remember MLXG playing it at MSI 2016 or something like that, whenever it first came out. Might have been one of those times. But maybe it was 2017, because I think that was when Peanut was on SKT. But so ever since then, it's just been one of those things like, nah, it doesn't allow you to do as much damage. Nah, give you the Lee Sin instead, or something like that. Getting ourselves into the later part of this draft, we do have potential of, well, last pick AD carry for Hope. Very rare to see the last pick bot lane like that, but I suppose Kyle taking away that Rel means that it's a combo missing now from On and Elk in terms of that Ziggs. They do still have the Rakan and the Nautilus, which are both completely fine to go towards that too. They can do whatever they really want. And plus they have the combo elsewhere in the map too. So it's not like Elk is going to be star for options to combo up with.
No, he certainly won't be. I've been searching the internet for the last 5 minutes to try and find a match history of that previous game. I cannot bloody find it anywhere. No, none of the websites seem to be updated just yet. I want to compare the drafts. If anyone has seen a match history, let me know in chat what website you found it on, and I can go and compare the drafts. But definitely, I like the draft, honestly, from AL here. When you've got an Ivan and a Tristana, I always think that's a really, really strong way to start things off. The one thing I will say, though, Elk and On, having this Ziggs lane against the Kai'Sa, they are going to be very, very comfortable in that lane phase, and there's a real dive angle available for BLG, should Wei want to make his way down into that bottom lane.
Yeah, I think that BLG have really good early proactivity. The question is, how are the early lanes going to allow for that? Because you do have the cannon, which can really bully around this top lane early. Tristana has very good early push as well. And also even bot lane. I mean, you got the Ziggs, who at level 1 can struggle with that a little bit too. So, yeah, we're going to have to see really what's going to happen there. Last game, it was actually Bin on the cannon, so it's a bit of a takeaway on that front. As we load ourselves into this second game, we ended up missing the first game because of an overlap from that first series, and how quickly The first game ended 24-minute victory for BLG over Anyone's Legend. Anyone's Legend, their schedule has gotten harder and harder.
So last game was Ziggs Bard bot for Anyone's Legend with a Maokai jungle, a Corki and a Yone. What the hell is that comp?
I believe that is a Corki top lane that was tried out before.
It must have been,
I think there was a Corki top lane into the Kennen. Kennen can struggle versus ranged matchups there, but obviously for Ala, it didn't work when 0-4 ensued. So AL, they were cooking a little bit, and it did not work. They burned their hands, and BLG took them back to culinary school. As now we get ourselves into this game 2 for what could be our last game of the day.
Let's see if AL can do a little bit better this time. They've got the Kennen. They're not going to be against a Corki top. Okay, I wasn't sure if something was going to happen. All right. Shenanigans in the first game. BLG were having none of it. Honestly, an important game for BLG to show what they're made of for playoffs. Remember, this is a team that realistically came into the split looking like the team that should just kind of win everything. The team that should just walk this one home. And then they have struggled. They've gone to 3 games in so many of their series, and it's going to be down to game difference on whether or not they make it into the top 2 seeds or whether they are overtaken by Top Esports. Remember, Top Esports play against JDG tomorrow and still have the chance of stealing that 2nd seed away from BLG.
Yeah, so this is, of course, really big for that. The seeding for LPL playoffs. Hang on a second. Did Croco just miss time or miss his Q? That's going to slow down his clear speed a bit. That's not great from Croco. Ivan, a lot of what you want to do is put down those marks as easily as quickly as possible. Go to the other side and use your smite there, and then you return after the marks have basically matured on these camps. Missing that by a few seconds can sometimes be an issue, especially against someone like a Sejuani who hits level 3, level 4, and can genuinely start impacting the map very quickly beyond that point. So we'll see whether that becomes an issue. Right now, BLG, they might be able to spot a Crocker going onto that Raptors as the level 1 happens.
Exhaust already used in trade for Ignite. Hope and Elk both chunked as On and Kael just hammering away at each other, both big metal clubs of different varieties. Slamming away in that bottom side. I'm glad to see an aggressive start, though, from Hope and Kael, because it's so easy to fall behind in the lane against Ziggs, and once you do, it becomes very difficult to fight your way back in.
Yeah, I remember when Ziggs bot lane first started getting played, and the person I shout out for this, because I used to watch the stream all the time, was Shifter. Shifter used to play Ziggs bot lane all the time. One of the first people to play it back then. He also played Zed bot lane, which, again, that didn't really catch on, but the Ziggs did. You need to get level 4 for that level 2 of your Q first. That's where things really turn out. Crocker's not on top side. BLG's jungle away is Ala. He might have to blow his flash here.
Nice little knockback there, trying to set up for the stun.
Wow.
Finn has the wave in a pretty good spot. I wonder how many minions are still there. Looks like it will just about still be frozen, so Ala has to try and step up to this wave once more. Wei moves back into his jungle, though, not going to try and cheese and re-gank again. Moves over to clear his camps. Croco is 3 camps ahead right now.
Yeah, first clear for Ivan is deceptively really fast because you get all of those marks down, you move to the other side of the jungle, you use your smite there, and then you can clear everything very quickly. Crocker's not going to be able to stop him from taking that course. Yeah, Ivan doesn't steal camps in the traditional way. He needs to put that mark down and get the smite, but he'll be very able to put this down very quickly on the Gromp there, and take it and get out. Ivan, at least for the first clear of the game, is very, very good if you get yourself into the right place.
Nicely done there by Croco, using the prio in that top side to find something. Hope dashes over to follow up on the engage from Kael, and Elk is the target. One more auto will finish the job. He flashes and dodges the Void Seeker. A hook from On is perfect for first blood. BLG outplaying the 2v2. On flashes for the kill as Elk backed away, but it's to set up for Wei to finish the job. Immaculate play in the bottom lane.
Worst case scenario against BLG is letting their bot lane get ahead. Elk and On, when they snowball, are potentially the best bot lane in the world. They do it all by themselves this time. Wei cleans up an extra one, but those 2v2 play so close for Hope and Kael, but sadly for Anyone's Legend, they have learned just how hard the competition is here in the Ascend group. We didn't even get to witness the destruction of that first game. We're here straight, and straight into that second game. BLG, they are taking 0 prisoners right now. Allah hasn't got himself a lead in top lane and bot lane. That's going to be a big problem. The early levels versus the Ziggs are where you can start getting some extra advantages. Now you've just given them 2 assists and given them an easy back into that lane. That is a huge issue.
And crucially for AL, a playoffs bye is on the line for them right now. This is an argument between playing in that first round of playoffs or playing in the second. They would love to skip to the second round. They would love to tie up with JDG. Right now they're tied with FPX. They need wins on the board here. Going negative. If FPX can improve their game score tomorrow, could make all the difference. The flash has come on through, unfortunately. Just this hook from On is perfect.
And this is just also great 2v2 mentality. When your AD carry gets all in, you turn on the enemy AD carry, because that's where the damage is. If you burst out the support, sure, that's okay, but the enemy AD carry has and more damage for these players too. He just sees that Elk steps up a little too far and misuses that satchel, immediately turns around, and Hope gets absolutely blasted. Coming back into lane now, and you know, On's almost at those Merc treads and can get himself a lot more of that magic resist. He's very happy with his laning phase so far, and BLG, they have survived now through to, you know, 3 levels on the Ziggs queue, which makes laning phase and wave play so much more easy. We've gone back to another replay of something that happened while we were in the previous replay. It's like the Monty Python thing. It's like the person in charge of this has now been fired, as Knight has just been removed from the mid lane.
So, Shanks is basically just solo killing Knight, I guess.
Yeah, I
Shanks
guess
has
so.
Shanks has actually had an insane year for himself. If you remember, like 2 years ago, this guy was just some guy. You know, he was just another mid laner. He'd come in. I think, if I remember right, when he first joined, he was like famous for his Cassiopeia in the LPL.
The Cass 1 trick, yep.
Some crazy quadra kills there and stuff like that. But it wasn't that impressive when he first joined. Ala was, though, as he goes for a slicing maelstrom onto 2. The shields come on through, and Shanks has an opportunity to clean house. Knight wants to answer and does find 1, but 1 is not equal to 2.
No, quick maths to you right there. We're very even in gold, and Shanks has picked up a lot of those resources for anyone's legend. Top lane is even, and that's not something which AL wants to see, and bot lane, of course, is not really what they want to see in terms of that Ziggs. But now suddenly with the Tristana, even after the nerfs, getting through these early levels and getting to 3 kills early on, with a Cull also being stacked up too, Shanks could be the carry that they need.
Oh, the hook from On to save Elk from Kyle's engage there, and Hope to getting chunked out. On, low on HP. The exhaust saves On's life. The Bard emote comes out after they bodied Kyle's Bard in game number 1. Oh, Lord, On is here to play today.
Man, BLG annoy me so much when their bot lane is off form, but when this bot lane are at the peak of their potential, they're a beauty to watch. You know, it's one of the reasons why BLG have managed to be historically dominant in the LPL between last summer and spring regular season. They've been fantastic, and this top side here, going back to a replay of this, I think Ala chooses a great place to reposition to. There's no point flashing back to the turret. He goes down to where the shield is waiting for him, and yes, a kill comes down, and Knight picks that one up, which is very important, but the fact that Ala manages to delay long enough to get to his teammates makes that a much more favorable trade for AL.
And importantly, Shanks has a hat-trick. Ala just cannot catch a break, can he? Wei sets up with the stun. No. Oh, no. Bin does have his ultimate. I forget quite how short that Nar ultimate is. Nice setup on the top side for BLG. Shanks is the shining light for AL right now, and he's got an Ivan alongside him. Maybe he can be the carry. Knight once again caught up in the mid lane. The bomb will do some damages on. Looks for an engage. Wei moves in. All things considered, though, Croco is just doing Drake while this all kicks off. Bombs come in. There's a smite. Elk is in a questionable position, and he's being chased down by a tree and a horse and a weird golem thing. Elk knocked up by Kyle, and he will be knocked up by Daisy as well. The roots come on in. Daisy does, bringing down the kill and bringing it home for AL. Croc looking for the root onto Wei, but won't be able to find it. They did manage to eventually get themselves a kill.
Oh, man. I was sat there thinking, well, they don't have damage. They're an Ivan and a Rel, right? Well, it's still enough if they still hit you for like 30 seconds continually. El choosing the wrong time to go up there. Hope didn't have his ult, so maybe he thought, oh, the Kai'Sa can't get into the play, I'll be fine. But BLG... this is why we get frustrated with BLG. Fantastic first game, but so many of their series have gone for 3 games because they just turn off. They switch off, and it's really frustrating for a team which should be the best team in the LPL based off of what they've done recently in the LPL's regular seasons, and within, of course, getting to MSI finals. This team should be at the top of the tree. They've had to replace their jungler. They've had weird, wildly varying performances from their bot lane, which we've come to expect a little bit, but also from Knight as well, who's occasionally had some really poor performances on the AD mids as well. That is why I would love for this team to be at top form, but realistically, we're just not seeing it consistently.
The crazy thing, like, I am essentially a conspiracy theorist at this point because I genuinely believe Knight is the difference. Because on Top Esports, they're a team famous for having happy games. They're a team famous for just dropping games in series that don't matter and just messing about, essentially. It wasn't Jackie Love, because look at Top Esports now without Knight on the roster. And look at BLG now with Knight on the roster. This is a team that regularly drops games. I genuinely believe that Knight does not care about game difference. All he cares about is playoff series, and they just vibe. Man. They just absolutely vibe.
You know what's so funny about that is that it's exactly what we were saying about Yagao. Like, Yagao sat there like, oh, it's playoffs, Yagao. Maybe it's the same with Knight. We'll see whether we can pull it out in this series as well. Croco is unseen. Here comes Daisy. Big wave from them. That should disengage the play unless Ala wants a little more. Dodges out on the ult.
Nice little sidestep. Feigns his engage there and pulls the ult out from way. Nicely done. Damage onto Hope. Satchel charge nearly knocks him into the Mega Inferno bomb. I mean, this is just indefensible as a Kai'Sa on your own under the tower. What on earth do you do to try and get any of this CS?
And this is the problem where I think that a lot of teams over time had to change their opinion of what Ziggs does. He is not a weak side champion where you just let him farm up. He should be destroying turrets like this. Bin is Mininar. He's going to die.
He gets one hop, but the stun comes on through in the end, and there's a root caller as well. Yeah. Ala grabs himself his first kill of the game.
One hop this time. Slide to the left. Grey screen! Bin goes down, and everybody claps their hands. Ziggs on the bot side, still pushing in, gonna get more turret plays. That's gonna be a dead turret. AL have resort. They put their resource into top side. The problem is, Ziggs, if you're left alone in a winning lane, is gonna destroy all those plates, and AL are now going to have to deal with a very, very fed Ziggs later into this game. Yeah. So BLG, they let On back out onto the map. Grubs are now spawning. BLG will look to get multiple.
Bin wanted a clap of the hands. It was a clap of lightning instead. Elk has been found in the bottom side. And there we go. Nice little kill for Hope and Kyle. Nicely done. Nice setup. Nice follow-up. And in the meantime, BLG gets something topside. I feel like we really are aggressively trading around the map here. This is high kill gameplay, but very even high kill gameplay.
I'm really quite upset by BLG there because, look, your Ziggs is the point of power. I get getting the grubs, but also, like, don't let your Ziggs die like that randomly. He should be taking that turret for free. Now, Bin is going to get some resource on top side, and that's important. He is still really far ahead of this top lane, and this is the special thing about Bin. And, you know, I have a lot of respect for Ala and what he can bring to teams. I think that we see someone like Bin, though, and he has had ridiculous stats with almost no pressure for most of this year. Now, the BLG have started playing towards top side more over summer, but on the whole, Bin has been doing all of his own stunts. He doesn't need a stunt double. He is the stunt man. And he's also had some of the best stats while having none of those resources too. Getting the 5 grubs now and being ahead of that cannon, getting towards Merc Treads and getting quickly towards his first item is a great thing for BLG. And Ala is now playing a cannon who's not ahead in lane despite those resources.
Cannon can still have a big impact later on, but it would have been nice, wouldn't it, with how much time Croco has spent on that top side for Ala to be a bit more of a menace at this point in the game. Shanks really is where the gold lead lies for AL. They do have that gold lead, it's just not that significant just yet. Knight doing his best to try and catch some of the wave, but Shanks not letting him anywhere near, basically proxying between the towers. He's got Croco and he's got Kyle down with him. And it means Ala has to forego this tier 1 in the top side. And actually TP's mid to catch that wave.
What's happening top side as well? Because Ziggs is still here. Ult misses onto Ala, but Ala, he'd have to flash forward with an ult to get the wave play here. There are 5 grubs. There is a Ziggs. This is going to be in a turret. I mean, this is just the Ziggs turret push. Ziggs should be doing this.
AL just kind of forgot that they're against the Ziggs or something. They lose 2 towers top. The TP mid from Knight means that Hope can't really get anything done mid either. They don't even finish the tier 1 in the bot side. This is literally 2 towers top in trade for a Drake. Knight, okay, doesn't get to cancel a recall there, so the TP back down will come through from Shanks. That's Flicker Blade picked up, so Shanks' ADHD will now be dealt with.
I never heard of it referred to as a fidget spinner before, but it is just wonderful.
Look at it. It just
Knight, come on. Gets his back cancels, has to blow his ult as well. Knight is now behind a ridiculous amount of gold to Shanks. That's a win condition. You know, AL, credit to them. While they did lose out on multiple turrets on the top side, getting that kind of lead over to Tristana, even though it is a nerfed Tristana, is still going to be Shanks in a position to carry this game. He's not done that very well in the Ascension group overall, but, you know, BLG, they're not in a perfect form themselves. Shanks is definitely in a competition where you could bust a shot Anar away from the fight, do the same to someone like Sejuani in a dangerous position, and if it ever gets access now to a very anemic Yone, or even on top of the Ziggs, who's not going to be safe if Tristana is anywhere near him, that could be a win condition for AL.
I mean, it really could. And I think, for me, Shanks has been AL's best performing player of the year, at least. Ala has come in and had some really, really big games, don't get me wrong. I definitely think that there are many players on this roster worthy of note. And I think Croco recently has really stepped up. But Shanks, for me, has been I think he was the reason at the start of the split that this team looked so good down in Group D.
He was one of the very best Tristana Corkies. He really slotted well into the
honestly. And I think he's been so consistent across the split as well that he really, to me, is the reason that this team has been so consistently so good. But now, pushed against the ropes, and it feels like BLG, just on these macro decisions, are just kind of taking over the map. Despite Knight getting caught out and getting chunked multiple times, he's only died once. He is behind because of how many kills Shanks has got, but BLG as a team are not behind. Ala forced to flash on the bottom side.
Ala is playing like the least voltage cannon that I've ever seen. He's got towards the Leandries, but he's never giving himself anything. That's a big set of ults.
Safety cannon goes in, but the lightning is not enough. On walks away, and Kael can't be so lucky. Gromp used as a way out there for Knight. Jumps to the back of it, and we'll take that Gromp as a reward, but maybe he's overstepped for this one. Trigger seed from Daisy. Will not be enough. I think Knight got it, but he has to flash away. Croco finds a route. Knight is overstepped, and On might just pay for it as Hope tries to chase him down. There is no tower to run to. On needs to find an anchor. He's just ever so slightly too short, and in the meantime, Shanks has taken a tower mid-Knight. Try to recall, won't get away with it. Ala finds him on the other side of the wall. All for a Gromp. All for a Gromp.
Oh, that's on Gromp, man. Orcs would be proud. Jesus Christ, BLG! What are you doing? Overstay for a Gromp kill? That's egregious even by their standards. AL have a gold lead. Tristana was pinging around to a lower gold lead because Knight managed to get that out of turret, but now Shanks is completely happy again. Where do you even start with this? This is after the huge fiesta of tower taking was put in, and Kyle gets everyone under turret. Ala doesn't even need to have a flash to bring everyone into that play. Turnaround damage is good, but then, yeah, Knight has to immediately get out of dodge. This is where the problem comes in. Waiting like this is the problem. You just have to back off, folks. Like, Daisy gets the slow in as well. On cancels the recall. Knight has the flash. This is just an absolute overstay where BLG, well, not for once. BLG have been doing more and more of this, where they really do just disrespect. The brush over the wall gives the vision, the recall lands, and obviously that's a kill there. But BLG have been super disrespectful for how teams can slap them back in this split.
He didn't even get the Gromp, lads. He didn't even get the Gromp. Was it worth it, Knight? I don't think so, buddy. I think they could have walked away with that one. As we're zooming in onto Croco, he's going to go for the recall. Dunks it. Beautiful bit of basketball on my screen right there. I know all about that sport. I've been watching the Olympics, you know.
Funnily enough, I bought a basketball recently because I don't have one out here in Germany. I have one back in my parents' place back in the UK. But I thought, you know what? There's a basketball place near enough to me as the Ballsplatz. And I thought I'd go try that at some point. So maybe you'll see me dunking with those long. I'll learn to extend my limbs even more. Anyway, Dragon's up in 10 seconds, and we'll see whether another dunk can happen on that particular court. As Daisy, look, I don't like Daisy macro in the LPL. Losing a Daisy like this is actually not very good. That was a freebie.
Yes, it was. And suddenly Croco is half the champion. Luckily, Shanks is about 3 champions at this point in the game. Unfortunately, though, Drake is pretty much already dead. So BLG will grab themselves the neutral pretty much as a freebie. However, AL want to give some kind of cost there by pressuring onto the mid-tier tier 2, sorry. It won't happen. Bin TP's in behind them looking for that Gnar ulti. Hope caught by the depth charge. Ala uses the slicing maelstrom just as a disengage tool. BLG, you know, they're not fans of the lightning, it seems.
No, they're not. They want things particularly grounded in this one. Ala using that as a defensive ult to try and stop any follow-up to the Nautilus ult. It looks a little awkward on the moment there, but I think that is actually the right choice. BLG, the best way to frame this team, and this is as polite as I can put it in this split, they are improvisers. Now, what that means is often they haven't done their legwork on the structure, but they're still very good players and they can make use of the random tools they give themselves in these games. But when it comes to moments like that, when you're very quickly moving between pieces of the map, BLG is still very, very threatening, so AL need to be very careful of that. As it stands now, though, Elk is actually even in gold.
I know you want to talk about League of Legends right now, but we've got to shout out Chairman Shan in chat because he just wrote the phrase, anyone's LeBron. For Croco, slam dunking on the Ivan. That might be the best Twitch message I've seen all fucking year. That is absolutely amazing.
Holy crap, that's wonderful. You know, this is one of the great things about, it's so good to break the fourth wall here as well. It has been so fantastic getting to cast in a slightly different way here on the streams as well. This will be the last time that we're doing this in this sense for this year. We'll see whether it goes to 3 games and we get another game out of it, but for now, we're going to enjoy ourselves with the chains taken off.
Kyle gets a 3-man ulti, but there's nothing following up. Knight gets the knock up, the bomb comes in. Doesn't feel like either team has enough damage, or the shield comes through. The burn won't be there. Bin is just pushing in the meantime.
Again, BLG, they just vibe, they just improvise. Whatever, Bin's just in a side lane. I feel like BLG are one of those, they're one of those teams, I think Weibo were like this with Light last year, where the rest of the team is just flipping, and there's just this one poor kind of like parent archetype in the team sat there going, ugh, I'll stabilize the game. You've been flipping. That's a really good trade there from Bin and stopped Ala from having a good flank angle, I suppose, by chunking him out. You know, but Bin has just been this guy that's just picked up the backpack side and said, okay, I'll make things all right again. That has been his job on BLG. He's the one guy who's not really given into the madness nearly as much as the rest of the team.
JJ on EDG, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. Gonna try and face check in here. This feels kind of tense, considering how the early game felt a little one-sided towards BLG, aside from Shanks. Things have evened up. AD carries are basically even at this point. Shanks is still monstrously ahead. But Ala as well, with his Leandry's finished, he is getting closer to being the true lightning rat that we all know and love. You know, he refused the Thunderstone. He's still going to be the Pikachu as opposed to the Raichu. But that won't stop him casting Thunderwave and paralyzing the enemy.
Stuff like that, yeah. But is he that first Pokemon you joined at the start of your journey, or is he at the level 88?
Yes, he is! The Thunderstone was used after all! They evolve and take down the Knight in Shining Armor. Or maybe they aren't not so shiny anymore. AL move to the Baron once again.
It's another ward. That gets them killed. AL, they've used a lot of their engage tools now, though. What can BLG do as a response?
Kyle over the wall, gets 3. AL, health bars are pretty low, and Bin slams into the wall. Kyle will fall. Ala will go as well, as a beautiful bomb comes through from Elk, and Croco caught on the bottom side. Wei will stop his escape. This is a huge moment for BLG to find their fight. Just as Baron is set up on the map, BLG, they stop messing around.
It is just like we said, BLG, they can flip as much as they want. Who do they turn to when they need the game back to a semblance of normalcy? It is Bin. Bin carries that fight, and Bin gets a huge amount of gold. He is now the gold lead for BLG. Yep. The Baron's going to give him even more room to carry with that too. AL, they just gave over a Baron to a 5 grub, 2,000 gold lead. Nar at this point. You know, Kyle gets into the backline, and that's fine, but you don't have that much follow-up now. You don't have the Kaiser ultimate. Shanks is too low HP, and Bin, he is tanked enough now. Even as the Starix, he is never in danger at any point here. Fantastic flash. Bin is he is that guy. He is him. He is the guy where, when everything's been flipped, he will still be the carry.
That's my goat right there. Bin in the top side, absolutely monstering this game. Elk, great damage in that fight as well. And I just want to say, BLG, that is the best they've looked all game, and it's when they're 4v5 and Knight isn't a part of the picture. Knight is the problem, everyone. Knight is the problem.
It's a night and day difference, you could say. Dragon started up now. AL, can they find themselves a better team fight than that last one? That will be the task. Bin getting up to Meganar, potentially teleporting back in.
Would be the third Drake for AL if they can find the Smite. Croco trying to stay in the area. He's got vision. Daisy is making sure of that. 2K on the Drake. We're just going to 50-50 this one as Croco steps back in and he gets the Smite. But unfortunately, a bomb on top of his head as well. And they just don't have the health bars to stick around in front of BLG here. It's one. Onto Kyle, Ala looking for the re-engage, and On goes down. Croco's so low on HP. Ala has to turn golden just to survive here, but I don't even know if that'll be enough. Knight dips in and out as Elk finds a bonus on the back of the fight.
Elk is getting ridiculous damage out of this Ziggs. AL are not closing down the backline that effectively, and Elk has, of course, even brought himself up that Morellonomicon, which cuts some of the healing coming through from Croco. This has been a little bit less of a slam dunk fight from BLG. Hope does have that W if it hits. He could ult forwards, but Elk is wise to that one. AL walk away with Soul Point. That is important. It will definitely help the survivability of this team, which will help with, of course, all of the extra items and the shielding, which Croco will be using to defend his team. Bin comes into the play, but he doesn't have the flash this time. It's much harder for him to get into that backline, and this is a much better front-to-back from AL in some ways. By the way, Ivan getting a Smite steal is just not a very common thing. He has no extra ability to aid his Smite like a Maokai Q or the Sejuani E or something like that. So that's a great Smite from Croco. And they do manage to get themselves a decent front-to-back, but while all this is happening, they're still going into a choke point versus a Ziggs. That is not very healthy for them, and the last bomb over here somehow skips onto Croco, who misjudges that one and goes down.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Elk actually tried to time that for Ala's Zhonya's finishing, but did it slightly too early, and so it bounces through, and then it ends up landing on Croco, which is absolutely hilarious. This game went from quite a quiet early game, realistically, to an absolute banger in these fights. This has been such a silly game from both teams. Remember, seeding is on the line here. BLG, we kind of wanted to see them looking clean today.
Teleport.
They looked clean in the first game. Ala wants to stop that being the case in the second. Elk is found. That's a huge shutdown for Ala. Hope has the damage to bring down the Sejuani as well. The stun comes on through to set it up. And Hope getting an extra injection of gold. AL's carries are very much online.
They're online, and BLG, they had a Baron buff. They have had themselves a good team fights, and they still haven't got themselves into a really dominant position here.
Poor Bin. He doesn't deserve this.
Exactly. Bin is sat here going like, guys, I'm going to a side lane. I'm going to get the side lane. Guys, I'm 3-2. I've got a 2,000 gold lead. And just watches just the kill feed on the right-hand side of the screen just go to hell on the other side. Got Shanks, who's still sat here on a good gold lead. I will say, I don't think Shanks has been able to leverage his gold lead that much. Part of that is the nature of the team fights. It's quite hard for him to jump forwards into a lot of immediate CC from Sejuani, Yone, Meganar, the Satchel, and the Nautilus as well. So it's hard for him to find them a gap there, but still, BLG need to be very careful of letting him into the next couple of fights. If you misuse your CC and you don't close down that Tristana, she will be putting out an absolute ton of damage.
I'm just going to say, Bin needs a hull breaker stat. Like, the man needs to just get in a side lane and get some towers down. I feel like that's the only way at this point. That's not really true. Honestly, the team fight is kind of terrifying if BLG actually group up and team fight. Like, the Gnarl into Elk's bomb. Look at Elk's items, man. He's 1,000 gold away from finishing a death cap. Like, that bomb is going to literally one-shot carries if you can just lock them up for long enough for it to hit. Elk is a problem, but only if he doesn't get caught out. And in that previous play, he was the one caught out and flanked by Ala.
So what you're saying is we're now at an afternoon showing of Elkenheimer, as we'll see exactly how much explosives he can put into this research project. The
was that a pre-written line, or did you think of that?
No, I just thought that's a thing. Occasionally my brain comes up with it. Thank you.
Love that one. Please bring that into a real cast.
You mean this isn't real enough for you? We will definitely see more of Elk Zig, so I'm sure we'll have that at some point in the future. Yeah, I mean, he's going to have so much damage here. And AL, they do have the Zhonya's on Ala. I think we haven't seen as much Zhonya's Kennen play in this iteration of Kennen, because he's been much more about the burst. However, when we've seen the last couple of games today, even with the Rumble and the Cannon, what this allows you to do is play as a temporary frontline. And when you have the Ivern, which that then allows you to survive around to the second round of shield, it means you actually can be a little bit of a frontline despite not having HP and huge tank stats. Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds. That might be the difference. AL, they want a front-to-back fight. They want to make sure that they can play behind these big zone control.
Bit of a zap onto On there from Nikolai Teslale. Yeah, I've kind of brute forced that one a little bit. It's
that's pretty good, actually.
Killian Murph Kale trying to finally engage as well.
No!
Okay, hook onto Hope. That's the combo from Knight as well. It's all looked terrible all game from BLG, and they just find it at the perfect moments, don't they? They did it for the Baron, and they're doing it again for Drake, but hang on. Croco's not done, and Shanks ain't done either. On with a bomb. Oh, but the ult doesn't knock it into the team. That's a double still for Shanks, and he gets the resets as Croco trying to find the route. Doesn't quite find his target, though. Shanks is so huge, but just can't keep going forward.
That should give them soul. Either way, that should be soul. Bin can recall and he can teleport into the play. He might be able to stop them doing something, and indeed that's what he's doing. Arla, he doesn't have teleport himself just yet, so he won't be able to regen. I actually think this comes down to a fight now. Shanks, he might have been a little bit late to start at this dragon. Bin is back.
Bin on the flank, Shanks trying to escape. I think he wins the 1v1 though his way, dives in the mix as well. Shanks looking for Bin, but denied by Elk's bombs, thrown backwards, might be finished off, but still going strong. Elk finally finishes the kill as Ala tries to get onto the rat, but it goes 1-for-1. Croco's here with the smite. Bin is about to turn Mega though. This could be the opportunity if he has the hop available. Knight moves into the mix as well. Croco has to be denied. He's got the smite available. Bin trying to burst the Drake as Croco wants to move in. Bin is going to zone him as Knight tries to finish the Drake. Kyle moves in as well. Who gets it? It's Hope of all people. And that is a Mountain Soul. Hope over the wall, but the bomb's coming on through still. Redemption won't land. Oh my lord, what did I just watch?
You just watched absolute cinema. I don't know what the hell the actual implications of this are going to be, but Mountain Soul going up to AL, so they have the shields on top of their shields with no Serpent's Fang to be seen on the side of BLG is going to be a huge issue. BLG, their first combo does a hell of a lot of damage, but I don't know if it's going to be enough now. We even saw Hope. It takes such a long time to die in that first initial engage there. I'm worried if BLG will even have the damage. AL, they might be forcing us to a third game off the back of this Yordle in the mid lane, but they've just given up a pick and river.
Great hook on Croco. And that's the jungler down for AL. BLG arrive in the nick of time. Flash over from Kyle to survive. It's 4v5 on the map right now, but BLG with jungle advantage should be able to move to the Baron, but Way has overstepped for the red buff potentially. Maybe it's Kyle that's overstepped. I don't know what's going on anymore.
BLG might have just clutched out this play. Croco should never in a million years be stood up alone in that topside river with no damage behind you. I don't care if Kyle's there. He's not going to save you by damaging the enemy team. So Baron goes down despite AL having that Mountain Soul and having great positioning on the map after that last play. God damn, what the hell happened here? I'm worried about what's going to happen with this future combo. Hope gets caught out by Hook. On has been very accurate with this game, but look how long it takes him to die. That's 2-3 ultimates because the Yone ult does end up going a little bit wide there. Arla gets a good zoning play, and then Shanks finally gets himself ability to jump forward. We said it's quite hard for the Tristana to play in a lot of these fights because there's so much immediate CC. He tries to flash out of what he thinks is going to be a hook coming out of on there, I think. So I think that's a pretty okay reaction play from him. He kind of would have needed that timing. Things just go off the rails at this point, though, because everyone has so much damage, particularly because Bin is so fed and Elk is too. It just becomes about who can mechanically outplay.
Yeah, Shanks doing absolutely everything he can in this one. The shields from Croco. This is what we were talking about, the combo of Tristana alongside the Ivan later on in the game. It's just so hard to deal with. Look at the gold lead for Shanks. It's the only gold lead on the map for AL, but it's 4K individual lead for Shanks overnight.
So the spectator is hovering over these wards.
Wait,
why is that? It's because Arla has a teleport. He is a level 16 cannon. He has the Mountain Soul, which makes him more towards that. There is a lot of ability for him to get towards this flank, but he's not pulling the trigger right now. Maybe afraid that his team couldn't follow up.
He wants them to overcommit. He wants them to be really locked into the play, I think, but he's joined his team. BLG, in the meantime, though, while AL refused to make a decision on the flank, they lose their entire base. I mean, Ziggs works so well with the Baron buff. Like, the towers are gone in seconds.
He's got a death cap. Like, this dude is so strong. You know that one picture? Again, it's Elkenheimer. He's got the hat that he had and everything, too. He's got the same kind of trilby.
That shot of Killian Murphy looking harrowed right now. That's us when we see this next team fight.
You know, we said we might have set off a chain reaction to destroy the Nexus. I think we just did. He's going towards even, like, a last needlessly large item at the rod item at the end, too, because if you look at the magic resist over the whole team of AL, it's not really there. They will have some from the 2 Mountain Dragons, and then, of course, their base magic resist per level as well. But on the whole, Elk is going to be hitting like a goddamn truck. He buys up his Zhonya's, and a reminder that the Zhonya's, it's not a low damage item anymore. It still gives you 100 AP. It's still a huge amount of AP compared to what it was before. It used to give you something like 70 back then, before in the mythic item kind of patch. He is so strong. If that combo comes through onto the right targets, Elk is going to one-shot. As
you say, Elk will hit like a truck. And the T1 players in their facility in South Korea feel a chill down their spine as the word truck is used. But my goodness, I mean, this is just such a good comp at using the Baron buff, at pressuring onto the enemy base. And it feels so hard to defend, honestly, for AL. They're doing their best, and it does feel like BLG are playing with some serious respect here to not overstep their mark and not just try and overly brute force things. Bin pressuring in the top side. Baron has now timed out, but Bin has a lot of pressure just on his own.
But look what's happening here. AL need to not just defend their tower. They need to stop Elk getting within satchel range because it's insta-kill. That's why BLG were being pushed so hard in mid lane, because it was an instant kill range. Bin taking down that top lane slowly but surely as well. The 5 grubs make this so easy.
Half an inhib in one auto. Half an inhib from one proc of the passive from Elk there. Satchel onto Kyle, but he actually sidesteps it in the end, and I don't think Elk will get in range again. Hope manages to dodge the bomb. I kind of wanted that one to hit just so we get a tester to see quite how much that'll do.
Yeah, we need ourselves the Trinity test here in this game, is what you're saying. As Knight going forwards doesn't find himself that much. I think BLG find themselves in a really awkward spot where none of their champions can build a Serpent's Fang. There's a Mountain Soul and there's an Ivern, and there's like probably like a Locket coming through at some point for KL maybe too. We saw the other day, I think it was Hope himself that built Jhin with Shiv Serpent's Fang into a Jhin. He actually had a very strong game out of that. It can really nullify what that wants to do. It's just not available here. It's one of it's also a similar conversation to how stuff like Leona is so poor versus Ashe because she doesn't want to build a Mikhail's. Similar kind of thing here. AL, they are going to get full value out of these shields, and we've got 20 seconds and seconds until that Elder. They have been pushed in. They have lost that bot lane inhib. They still might be able to clutch this out around an Elder. It's not the best terrain for BLG. Blue Star Dragons are notoriously hard to do because you can just be stuck in the pit.
Bin is trying to get some pressure on the top side. He's pushing these waves as fast as he physically can. The Daisy, though, just being sort of 1v1'd here isn't ideal. Okay, does manage to despawn it, and Elder has spawned. Daisy is still a part of the play. Wei has to make a miracle smite happen. He's just going to try and blast going in from the top side. Goes in sideways, but Buster shotted back out. AL get themselves Elder Dragon BLG try and end in the base. On and Wei disrupting recalls as fast as they physically can, but Elk is in the base as well. The Ziggs does so much, but Bin escapes. Knight having to escape as well, as Elk is going to try and TP, but the bomb is enough, and he goes down. Oh my lord! AL have actually done it, haven't they? AL have got an Elder, and they might just find game 3.
Do they have any minions? They're killing a wave in mid lane. It's 50 seconds on most of the wave clear from BLG. 30 seconds for Wei, and on. The Elder will still be active when the time they come up. They're trying to brute force run it through with no minion tower debuff. They're trying to get themselves at least an inhib. How much more can they get? I don't know if they can end.
They have so many shields to work with. It might just work. They've still got 30 seconds until carries come up. It'll be On and Wei that spawn first, and the minion wave has nearly arrived. There are no TPs to keep the wave alive, but just Daisy alone is tanking for long enough. I think they might just do it right here. Forget absolute cinema. It's absolute shenanigans here as BLG are going to fall in game number 2, and AL make a miracle come true. Here, live on your screens. Daisy, the absolute MVP for AL. Although that bomb from Elk nearly flips it, it won't matter. The Nexus falls, and AL bring us to 3.
We go to a game 3 between BLG and Anyone's Legend. We missed game 1 because it was so quick from BLG, but this is our problem with our current reigning champions of the LPL. They do just sometimes flip it in a full best of 3. They go to 3 games so often for a top team, and Anyone's Legend, a team which we've had very varied expectations of, can't make it happen. Folks, welcome back. We dashed straight back into that game. God, do I need a drink after that one. Don't know how strong it will need to be, but God, I'm gonna need to get myself at least some hydration. Jesus.
That was... I don't even have words for what that was. That was BLG. That was BLG is what it was. AL managed to punish them in the end. some happy gaming, to say the very least, from BLG. But to be fair, it felt like the longer that went on, the harder it was to get through these Ivan shields, and AL did a tremendous job of defending as well as they did. Like, a lesser team would have fallen.
Yeah, I think, genuinely, not having a champion that really wants to build a Serpent's Fang really screwed BLG. You don't have, well, Elk's not going to buy it because